Welcome to our annual meeting. We generally try to have 4 meetings a year at different venues, but this is the annual meeting where we review what we've done, what we think we're going to do, and we elect the officers that will serve for the next year, beginning with July 1st. I met Kimberly Fink here one day, who is the owner. She and her husband own this property, and we struck up a conversation, and she was excited about the prospects from the Historical Society having a meeting here. She had planned to looked forward to being here to talk to us and show us around, but you can understand that with this property and everything, she needs to work, and she had to stay at some work in Florida and is not going to be able to be back here. But I'm pleased that Tripp Curry, the young man in the back there, is the director of ceremonies here. And when we finished our brief meeting, Tripp is going to take us on a tour of not just the house, but I think part of the grounds and so forth, as to what makes this a wedding and event center. Most of you know that they held the Alleghany High School prom here a few weeks ago. And between a little shower now and then, they made it through the prom and had a great time. Brief report on the activities of the Society at the Depot and the Discovery Center. Marion Paxton works at the Depot 3 days a week, a total of about 16 hours. And Alan Dressler is doing a great job in trying to hide the Public Works Department from the C&O Passenger Depot in Covington. And Mary has greeted a number of visitors who come in here, just show up off the side of the street or looking for something, or some with a purpose to find out where a particular place is, if we have information about a long-lost relative or ancestor. I mean, they just come looking for a lot of information, right, Marion? And so we're very fortunate to have her up there, because people, would look in the windows and not know what to do. But now we have someone who helps them out. At the Discovery Center, we still have Angie Jones, who works also 16 hours a week, 4 afternoons a week. And we've begun to get a number of visitors, some just off-the-street visitors, but we've had some field trips there. We had 60 second graders from Mountain View Elementary one day, and they had a ball. We've had groups from Boys Home. We've had groups from the First Presbyterian Preschool come there. They're annual visitors. Mothers with little kids on rainy days that don't know what to do, and they find us, and now they know what to do. But we're also working on a lot of developing exhibits and things like that. And if you got your newsletter, and if you didn't, here's a few extras. See this little mini digger? It's sitting in our Discovery Center right now, and we're working with D.D. Kearns to get it all set up. This is not a free operation. You can get a ticket for 5 minutes or whatever and pay the fee, and you can get on that machine and operate it. And it's controlled so that the machine doesn't go too far left or too far right or too high. Even though we have 14-foot ceilings, we want to be sure that this arm of this machine doesn't extend that far. But we're just real excited about that happening. I also want you to know that we were getting financially close to a hard time, and the foundation came through with a $70,000 grant to help us with our operating expenses. We also have the remainder of a grant that was about 4 years old that's finally going to run out. Our ability to get extensions has passed by, and hopefully they're going to pay for the digger and some other things and allow us to use funding to create other opportunities. We've also worked on a business plan, but that business plan is pretty ambitious. We would have to find the funding for that. And of course, the foundation can't fund the entire amount. So we're always looking for other grants and opportunities. We've been very fortunate with the Nettleton Foundation, who annually supports us, Smurfit West Rock, the carbon plant, some of those, and some of you all who are our benefactors, and we appreciate all that you do for us. One of the things we were able to use the grant funds that we had left over was to participate in a state program called the Virginia Talent and Opportunity Partnership, VTOP. That partnership allowed us to hire a full-time intern, 35 hours a week, $15 an hour, and they pay half. And so we use grant funds from the foundation to pay our half. And so she has been wonderful, Olivia Lopez. She's bilingual. Her parents run the San Juan restaurant. I said, Olivia, are you going to run a restaurant? No, I'm not going to run a restaurant. But as Jim Irwin will tell you, this young lady came here and entered school when she was a kindergartner and only spoke Spanish. And there was no ESL programs going on at the time. And she has taught herself English through her years in school and speaks better English than I do, and maybe a number of you, I don't know. But we were very fortunate to get her. We also have an annual grant that we received from the foundation to allow us to hire 2 college students every summer as interns. And they also work 35 hours a week for 10 weeks. Now, it may not be 10 consecutive weeks because if they want to take a vacation, we take that into consideration and all of that. So there's where we're going. At this time, we are financially sound. Bill will tell you what. How much money have we got, Bill?
Well, the asset area about 13,000 and the loan is 87,000. But the payment for it was $341, and the principal for it, the interest for it was $296. So that magic has happened, and we'll begin to pay more. I love paying more than principal.
Yeah. So, how can you help? You all help by joining the society. Our membership dues are modest. An individual for $25 a year, a family, which can be you and a spouse or 18 children, but not grandchildren, unless their parents are also members. And that family membership is $40. But of course, we always welcome additional funds. And that brings me to Tuesday, May 20th. I've been trying to remind people every couple of days that Tuesday, May 20th is Give Local Alleghany Highlands. And last year we raised about $5,000 from that, and we qualified for a $1,000 bonus prize by winning what was called a Power Hour. Now, the number of prizes and opportunities to get additional funds has expanded this year. We were in a small list of nonprofits, and then they had a large list of nonprofits. So they took the large, small nonprofits and the small, large nonprofits and put them in a group of medium nonprofits. So we're in the medium group, along with the Arts and Crafts Center and some of those other organizations that are about our size. We have 2 power hours from 10 to 11 a.m. and 8 to 9 p.m. Well, I understand that the Arts and Crafts Center is really going to focus on 8 to 9 p.m. They have a lot of support and raised a lot of funds last year. So I'm requesting that our donors look at the 10 to 11 a.m. The top 5, well, the power hours now give you a $1,500 cash extra prize if you win the power hour. It's the biggest fundraiser. So there's one opportunity. But if you're among the top 5 fundraisers in your category, small, medium, or large, us being medium, those prizes are first place is $3,500, second is $3,000, and $25,000, $2,000, and $1,500. So we have the potential to, if we could raise $5,000 again this year, we have the potential to qualify for even more additional prize money. I personally don't like asking people for money, but it is what it is. And if you don't ask them, they're not going to give it to you. And I think that preserving the history and heritage of the Alleghany Highlands is a very important thing. And part of that history lies right here with Minifer from the mid-1870s, still standing today 150 years later. And it was at the center of the Lowmore Iron Company and industry. So, give Local Alleghany. You'll probably get a text on Tuesday morning. Please read it and remind yourself. You have to give at least $5. But there's no limit on the top.
Use a credit card?
You can use a credit card. It's online. Go online and simply type in givelocalah.org. Yep, you can pay by credit card. We have gotten some advance cash donations, about $1,000, so that counts towards our total. But for power hours and that type of thing, there's no way for them to take checks and so forth. It all has to be computed based on the giving through the credit PayPal, if you're familiar with PayPal or things like that. So, any questions? Well, we do have, the board has nominated a list of people for the coming year's officers, which I will read off, and then if there are any nominations, additional nominations for the officers, you can let me know at the end. This year for president, we're nominating Cindy Arthur, who's an educator in the county, been educator of the year for the VFW and others, and a real strong supporter of the society. Vice president is Luke Bradley, also an educator, and Luke is quite talented, comes from a big family, all educators, and we're happy to have Luke on board. Marion has agreed to continue as secretary and Bill as treasurer. We're looking for some options to transition for Bill because as old as I am and need to get out, he's even older. I won't tell you how much. But we're working on that. So some of our current board members, Bonnie Keyser, Linda Morrison, and Mary Ann Byrne, they both got caught up in a rectory meeting at the Episcopal Church, so I don't know when or if they'll get here. Jim Irwin, raise your hand, who is one of our finest volunteers here of late, and helped us when we did school groups. Floyd Harrison, who's been on the board for a number of years, and this one couldn't be here, but Sydney Hepler, who teaches at Mountain View, is another young face that we're trying to get involved. Now, do any of you have nominations for any of these offices? Is there a motion to close the nominations? There's a so moved. Is there a second? There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of closing the nominations, say aye. Opposed? Do I hear a motion to unanimously elect these nominees? So moved by Ms. Ann Wright, and the second? Second again. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. I didn't hear you. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now, you did not see Paul Linkenhoker's name on it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be the advisor to our leaders and still be a volunteer and get Gene Young out more often so we can play the trains and do things of that nature and give our leadership over to new and younger people. Any questions? Now, we do have refreshments and you're welcome to take some with you or come back, but I want to bring Trip Curry forward because the hard part of our meeting is over. And Tripp and I go back a few years when he was in nursing program and working at the Highland House. And so, Tripp, thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Trip Curry. I'm the Director of Ceremonies and Minister here. We'd like to welcome you here on a beautiful Sunday in Alleghany County. Here in a few minutes, I'd like to everybody get a drink, get ready to get your walking shoes on, and I'll just like to take you guys around the property if you'd like to join me. So here in a few minutes, after that, I'll just meet you guys right out front here, and we'll start around the house, and I'll bring you back in here to finish off. Does that sound good to everybody? Awesome. See you in just a few minutes.